King E2 and he goes forward.
Checkmate in 7.
This is absolutely shocking. It's coming up to 11 o'clock here. I can't even sleep right now. I was going to make this video in the morning. Everyone's in complete meltdown. The scenes coming out of Oslo here, I can't even say too much more. Let's just look at the game.
Chess speaks for itself.
Magnus Carlsen kicked off with e4, world number 1. Pragg played the French defense. He whispers on guard. He beat Magnus earlier in this Norway chess tournament, prestigious event in Norway. It's round 8 of 10. Magnus takes the center of the board, and watch this. He goes for the advanced variation. Pragg fights back in the center. Clock time's on the left. It's classical. They get a couple hours each. Magnus builds a connect 4 there. What a guy. He wins a Maurice Ashley head magnet, and after knight c6, knight f3, does Magnus now run into one of the main moves? No siree. Pragg plays knight h6. Absolutely wild, stinky looking move. What is that? It's deep prep. If you take, you shatter the pawns, yes, but you give black these bishops, you give an open G line. Pragg knows what he's doing there. Magnus doesn't want to go for it, so he spends 15 minutes and plays the knight out to the edge of the board. It's like he saw a big serve and he just returned it with an equally weird one. Why did he do this?
And here we go again. Get surprised, think for 20 minutes, try and make a move that's kind of dumb enough that he might not completely know it. Modern chess.
So Magnus fighting fire with fire. Is it any good though? Well, you won't believe this one. Pragg, all of this has been seen on his end at home in his home cooking. Magnus tried to surprise him and he's already had the line before, knows some details. Magnus now brings the bishop out, and this is very forcing because it allows this check. Magnus blocks and then the pawn structure is shattered. Pragg gives up his bishops and plays this committal move, snatching a pawn in the center here. Magnus saying, hang on a minute, this is surely too dangerous for black. White's got the bishops, the exposed king. How can this be okay? Well, it actually is. It's a rough kind of balance. Magnus could check here, ruin the castling rights. He decides he doesn't want to do it. He instead takes on h6 here, and now you can't recapture the bishop immediately, or bishop check and you win the queen. Sorry about my voice, it's late, like I said, can't be sleeping on this one. So what do we get? Queen c3 check. This is the critical detail. Now if the queen blocks, you lose the rook in the corner. If the bishop backs up, then black can take this bishop. So Magnus plays the best move, king f1, losing his castling rights, but black's now got to mangle their pawn structure, and he now blitzes out rook c1. He's an hour down on the clock here, not playing fluidly, but now it's Pragg's turn to go into the tank for 40 minutes here. Does he eat the pawn? Does he retreat the queen? He decides, let's retreat. Now, if you're an all-powerful engine, you're happy to munch on this pawn. It is a playable line. But Pragg wants to just come back in the centre, not get too greedy. He is a pawn up here. Magnus could check. Apparently then king d8 is best. Wild lines. He doesn't want to. He builds the banana hammock here. King safety first. There he goes. Castles from Pragg now, and Chewbacca's favourite move, the Wookiee one. Hits back that queen. Does she go to f6? Pressure the pawn? No. g7. Honey, I'm home. X-rays this king. Defends the bishop. Magnus invades. We can see the compensation. Threat to take the e6 pawn. There's a pin. So the rook jumps up. Covers the rank here. Move 19. What a wild game. Magnus down to 23 minutes. I talk about Lotus Chess for openings. It's fantastic. I don't think either player's ever reached this position. Not sure you'll find it in Lotus. This is some wild wackiness, but do of course check it out for the proper openings. Magnus doesn't take the pawn here. He instead pushes the f-pawn, anticipating the pressure soon to come on it, and after rook a f8, now we see king h1 here, stepping away from the tactics, the pins galore. However, now it hots up, because after the bishop drops back, we see these rooks go into the blender. Queen c2 looks to invade. Bishop h5 goes for some check business, and Magnus stops that one, but steps right back into the pins galore that he was trying to avoid. Bang! Black crashing through here, winning that pawn. This one's pinned, of course. However, Magnus has seen it, not a blunder, he checks down here. The clock situation is nuts. He's got 5 minutes for 15 moves. He gets no extra time per move, not till he reaches move 40. Then he gets 10 seconds. The rook blocks, bang, takes with check. King sidestepping, rook challenging the file, incredible defense from Magnus, low on time, and after rook takes, bishop takes, this one now backs up. Hits the queen, defends that central pawn. Black still one to the good and remaining one to the good. So many moments in this endgame now where you can nab a pawn, but you lose some central control. Like here, where should the king go? Back is best apparently. Magnus steps up, king g7, pawn is offered, but this is what I'm saying. If you munch that pawn, you actually allow the black pieces to unravel against your king. You're forced up the board and you get mated in two. Or you're blocking with a g-pawn here, and how ugly is that? That's game over. So don't start eating this pawn. Magnus keeps a check on tap if the queen ever moves. Now check played anyway. Bishop f7, bishop d3 activates, and this is why we don't see Pragg eating pawns. He wants to stay in tabs with the king, the checks, not allow perpetuals. So queen b6 played, going for an exchange and also allowing this queen to slide over. The end game's not good. Don't double those pawns. Black's still a good pawn ahead, a passed pawn. So this was played. Now queen f6 blocking. Magnus keeps the queens on, not like him. Normally he wants to eat.
Mushrooms.
Pawn b6. Again, you cannot take on a7. The counter-attack on this white king is too deadly. It actually starts with this silent killer queen f3 move. Hits a bishop, cuts a king, and then other pieces can join the attack. Even the king could step up in some lines. So don't eat.
Mushrooms.
Instead, Magnus does this. Both players run the flank pawns here. It's so tense, so exciting. Move 37 now. King g2, queen e3. And what an all-star move this is from Magnus. Low on time. 2 moves to go for time control. He takes on b6, allowing his bishop to be taken, but doing so actually loses the game. You can then check the king. It steps away, and you now push the pawn. And with the queen so powerfully centralized, you can't stop that one going through. Supported, there's no checks to kind of win it or anything. Chess doesn't work like that. White's actually winning. Not played, of course. Pragg sees it. He's got time, although the time situation has come back more level. Bishop c2 played. Queen supports, don't worry. No check and drop. Now we see h6 played. Pawn h4 from Magnus. b5, we're hotting up here, heading towards a big finale. Great move here by Magnus. You now can't push the d-pawn, or this one collapses. Pragg starts checking. King f2, b4's on the board here, and Magnus could play a waiting move here. Stay on these dark squares, leave the queen pinning the bishop. Very difficult for black to activate. Everything's kind of locked up. Should be headed towards a draw. But queen d6 is played, unpinning the bishop. We now get a series of checks, and unbelievably, king e3, by the way, probably best. Stay on some dark squares. King d3, bishop g6 check, king e3, queen c3 check. We reach this position, move 48. where Magnus only has one drawing move. He's got 23 seconds on the clock. What do you think that move is? It's King E2, and he doesn't find it. It looks very counterintuitive to allow the bishop in with check, but you then step to D1. You also have to find this second only drawing move. And you can't do the standard mating pattern because the bishop covers the square. You can check down here, but the king survives. This is such an important defender, and there shouldn't be more than a perpetual. Let's run back. Magnus steps up the board. His hand kind of shakes on the piece. He does a sort of head bobble, realizes what's happened. Queen D4 check from Pragg. King F3. Queen D3 check. If you now step back up, this is a mate in 1. So you have to step back, as Magnus does. Queen D2 check. And this is where Magnus Carlsen resigned for a second time against Pragg in this tournament. Because whatever you do with this king, let's say you step back, you get mated. At some point, you have to step to a light square, and the moment you do, the bishop joins the attack, and it's just deadly. Couple other lines like this one. This is the basic theme. Absolutely shocking. Magnus barely loses a game a year. Never mind like 5 in a tournament or whatever it's been. It's just crazy. Hope you enjoyed this one. Do have a look at the video on screen if you want to see some more epic chess. And I hope to see you again soon. Cheers.